something caught my eye this week on Facebook, and as a concerned parent, I decided that I was going to kind of, do a little walkthrough or tutorial as to how to know who's really coaching your kid. You know, here's an example. I'm going to play this video for you shortly, and I want you guys to look at it, and I want you to know that this happens more often than not. You know, the thing that this video doesn't show is it doesn't show how a normal parent like us, like you, myself, can go and find or maybe do some research on coaches that say they are who they are. There are plenty of coaches out there that are great coaches and deserve to charge money for it. But you shouldn't lie about where you've played in order to convince someone that you know. I hope you guys enjoy the video.
How much professional baseball experience do you really have, Coach?
Sir, I'm not answering any of your questions.
Parents thought they knew the answer.
He played 12 years in the major leagues for Chicago and for Texas.
He said he hit 289 home runs.
That he's a two-time Golden Glove winner.
So tell us the truth. What's really going on with your program?
They advertise all their coaches as former major leaguers or college players. But a Fox 5 I-Team investigation discovered that's not true. And that's only the beginning.
I don't want any other parent having to go through the same experience without the truth.
It felt like I ran into a professional player that's willing to teach the kids, the game at the top level.
For Gerald Harris, experience was the deciding factor for spending $3,800 with the Georgia Stars. He's one of 7 parents who told us Coach Waters claimed to be a retired major leaguer.
Turned out to be lies.
Waters told our producer this.
I played back and forth a little pro ball in Venezuela, Puerto Rican.
Again, Coach Waters could provide no proof he played professional baseball.
How to find out whether or not an instructor says who he says he is or does what he says he does. And there's a couple tools that you can find online. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the 5-Tool website, and I'm just going to pick out some random guys. So let's see. We've got here's a Texas Travel National Scout Team Black out of Humble, Texas. Head coach is Rob Cope, as you can see here. I don't know anything about him. Never heard of him. Figured it'll be good to pick out and do this guy, and then we'll just pick another coach at random to try to see, how to go through the process of whether or not some of these guys, we can look them up. So I went on Google, I found the website, I see that he's got his own website, Robert Copeland. There's his email. Looks like he provides a second chance team. Very good. He's the director. Looks like he's like kind of everything for this thing. So the first thing I'll say is the last thing as parents that we should take into account is who they tell us they are. For example, you've got this website here, you've got his bio, and this is coming from this coach, right? Mr. Robert Copeland is saying that, let's see, he went to junior college as a catcher. Looks like he played for the Reds. Looks like he played for Cleveland. Looks like he played some years of independent pro ball. So, this is what he's telling us. So, for me, that's the first thing I would do is I would go with what they tell me and then just research it. But I'm not going to go directly on what they say, because especially if they're charging money for the service, they're going to tell you what they do or who they are. They're going to kind of show you or brag or kind of go above and beyond. And rightfully so. I think everybody in this list, if you can see the number of teams that are playing, here we got another guy, Greg Bullock, Wheelhouse Baseball in Spring. I figured they're fairly close to each other. So if we were to look as an example of looking for a place for your son to play, this is how you go about. So, I go and, you look for their website or maybe a Facebook page or what have you. So here you go. We're doing our research. We find a tryout page that he had on Nations Baseball. Talks about all the things he does and doesn't do, his policy, what they do in and out, which is fine. I mean, everybody's going to have, something similar. But what I'm really interested in is what he says about himself, where he was drafted in the 7th round, played with the Padres, New York, very similar to Robert Copeland. So you see there's 2 guys here that both played pro baseball. They're selling you on the fact that they know what they're talking about based on, their experience and being around the game. So a good site to go to is, and there's several, and I'm going to just go with the top 2, and some of the things that I like to do is baseballreference.com. You can see here it's MLB stats, scores, histories, and record, right? And then the other website that I like is, you'll see here, it's the Baseball Cube, or it may be called something else. It's the Baseball Cube research site for pro and college stats. I like this one because it also shows what their college status was. You know, in the event that there's some guys that are going to tell you they played here, I played there, you know, you can look a lot of this stuff up. Another good resource is Google Images. You'll know why in a second once we get to it. I want to show you what would pop up in there. And then my favorite one, which, well, it's just fun for me to do, is eBay. I always go and see if these guys are selling anything else on eBay. Let's go back to Mr. Robert Copeland. You can see I've highlighted a couple things. I'm going to copy his name, and I'm just going to go and paste it over at the Baseball Reference site. There you see he popped up. So we do see other players and scouts as Robert Copeland. So we click on it, and okay, so we can see that he was drafted by Cincinnati Reds in the 30th round of the 1986 draft out of Waltrip High School. When you scroll down and you continue to look, it doesn't show any other stats as far as where he played. You know, he claimed he played with the Reds, Cleveland, but that's okay because we you know, we're going to go and look at other sites. This one could just be maybe, you know, there's guys that could have dropped through the cracks. So I guess this is Craig Bullock. We're gonna copy his name and do the exact same thing. Go over to Baseball Reference and see what kind of information pops up. Okay, so it's third baseman, relief pitcher. Looks like he was drafted by the Padres in the 7th round, as he claimed, and from Aldine High School. So here's another guy that got drafted out of high school. He must have been pretty good to go in the 7th round and sign out of high school. And it doesn't show a lot of stats outside of that as far as college, because he was drafted out of high school. So there really isn't anything there to show. But when you scroll down, here's you see. So here's something that's enlightening. You know, it's nice to see he's got stats. You can see that in 1990 he played for, looks like, 6 seasons. And he played pro ball for 6 seasons. All of these teams are affiliated. None of them are independent teams. And if they would have been independent league teams, it does show up on Baseball Reference. All of these looks like it was San Diego. San Diego looks like he got released or maybe traded, and then he played for the New York Mets for the rest of his career. You can scroll down and continue to see all his stats, which I'm not really worried about his stats. But at least this tells me that the guy's been around the game at an extremely high level for at least 6 seasons. So we're gonna have to try a different site. So we're gonna go back. We're gonna get Robert Copeland, and we're gonna put this information in the Baseball Cube. So you know, this guy Robert is just telling us that he played catcher. You know, there's no way to look for that. I guess if you want to try and look for that, but I'm only concentrating on these 3 sites. I'm sure there's a way with the internet now to look back to see if that's true. But I don't. You know, I've got my doubts. Yes, he got drafted out of a high school, but did he play for the Reds? And then he played for Cleveland, and then 4 years of independent league. You know, that all would have showed up on Baseball Reference. You can look up anybody else who played, and it'll look up. So I don't know. I don't. You know, we'll keep doing some research. The fact that he's saying that he played for the Reds. I mean, it looks like 4 seasons. We don't know how many seasons with the Reds, how many with the Indians. So that's at least a 10-year professional career, which Baseball Reference didn't have anything to show for it. So we'll try here. We'll try Robert Copeland, and we're going to use the Baseball Cube this time. It's a different database that kind of shows also their collegiate record. Well, see, so it's the same guy. I mean, it's Waltrip High School. It just says high school. With colleges, it doesn't have any college listed, which this site does list which college they got drafted from if they played college ball. Now, it's possible that he could have played at San Jacinto, like he says, but did he log enough innings? Was he eligible? Was he one of the catchers? Was he just a backup guy? Was he a red shirt? We really don't know. But here we can see that he was indeed drafted out of high school in the 30th round. As far as you know, scrolling down and looking for data on those 6, 7, 8 years that he played pro ball, some with the Reds and the Indians and the independent league, I don't see it. And it's not looking too good for Robert Copeland now. He's starting to kind of seem like he's making some stuff up. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with Craig. We'll put him on the baseball cube, and we'll see what stats come up for Mr. Bullock. Yeah, there's his name. It says his highest level of ball was AA. Stat years, 1990, 1996. It's got his positions, that he was also drafted in the 7th round in 1990. So it does show, what he claims to say he did, right? It says the organization. You'll see 5 seasons with the Mets, 5 seasons with the Padres. And if you scroll down, it's we're kind of back to his stats, right? It's got everything on there. It's got his rookie league game with Arizona. It's got all his games with the Mets. I mean, and it's tracking all the stats. Robert Copeland, this is not looking too good for now, So now we're going to go to Google Images. I like doing this one. It just shows a lot. I'll go ahead and leave it the way he put it on there, so we can see. And again, here's what pops up on the Google Images. It's his image from his website. Again, this Robert Copeland is telling us what he did and where he's been, but we can't find it anywhere else. I'm gonna try to narrow it down and put in baseball. I misspelled baseball. You can see it's baseball, but this is what comes up. I guess there's this guy's maybe name was like Copes. Maybe so that came up, with the whole Copes thing and the Mets thing, but I don't see anywhere outside of his picture that he put on his website is the only thing that pops up. Maybe some of these select teams, maybe some of these pictures are his, that someone took and tagged him, and it can come up. You see a couple academies that come up, but I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't seem like he's being extremely honest. Let's go ahead and put in Craig Bullock. We'll go ahead and do the same thing. First, we'll do it plain. Okay, so you see a lot of random pictures here, but something sticks out to me here. There's 2 cards, 3 cards. You can see his baseball card is here. These are professional companies that would make these cards for these professional teams so that they can trade them. It's one of those things that happen when you play professional baseball. So I narrowed it down. I put baseball. And there you go. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Maybe that guy's not him. Maybe 8. 8 at least cards of his. 8. If you scroll down, it kind of waters down. Oh, you see his logo, right? You can see where he put his logo there. For his wheelhouse company. It's like the Washington W in his wheelhouse baseball. So this is another telltale sign. Robert Copeland kind of doesn't have any companies making baseball cards of him. It just tells me that he never played past college, and maybe not even past high school. Looks like he got drafted in high school, but it's hard to know. So when you go to eBay, you can do the same thing. Just add their name, Craig Bullock baseball, and see what pops up. And yes, you're kind of seeing a theme here, right? You're seeing, it's his minor league cards. People still collect it. It's a hobby, and they collect these cards. He was a 7th round pick. He played a number of years, so you can see there's his card is for sale on eBay, by different companies and what have you. So this guy played. I would if I were doing a side-by-side comparison and I wanted my son to play somewhere. As of now, he would not play for Robert Copeland. To me, Robert Copeland just looks like he lied about playing. I wouldn't even be able to trust this guy. Might be a great guy. I mean, some of you watching this might play for him, and he might be the best coach in the world. The problem is that, unfortunately, I had to pull this guy up today. Like, what are the odds? That wasn't my intention at all. I'm not trying to knock a guy's hustle. So it's just, man, you guys can put in Robert Copeland and see what pops up. So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Okay, guys, so there you have it. Mr. Robert Copeland didn't play anywhere. It's unfortunate. I really didn't mean to do that. I just kind of picked 2 random guys, but there it is. This is it. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to let you guys decide, on what you thought. But, moving forward, guys, do your research.